How about that? Okay, trying this again. Hi, everyone. It is time for our OpenJS Standards Working Group meeting. Yay! Today is February 21st, 2023. I'm saying that because I'm recording this and having to upload it later because the YouTube stream thing is broken. Our issue today is issue 206 for today's agenda. And there's really 3 items on it. But first, let me ask if there are any public announcements or news anybody would like to share. It's been kind of a quiet couple weeks, so I personally don't have anything. I usually do.
TC39 was a couple weeks ago. The notable, I think there's a number of advancements, but there was also a demotion, I guess. Import assertions went down to stage 2 to sort of rethink how it can better meet the web's use case for importing JSON and CSS and so on modules.
And the next TC39 plenary, that's in March, right?
Yeah, it's in about 5 weeks from now.
Okay. Great. So I guess, that's one thing. If anybody has questions or topics or wants to learn more about some of the proposals, about a 5-week period to get caught up to speed or to poke around or ask questions and then and provide feedback both between now and the next plenary. So I don't think there's been any W3C news. I did have an action item to follow up with the W3C's new management team virtual to find out more about our term length. They said they'd have to get back to me. So I think there might be some just process of like kind of onboarding and everything. They're not quite ready to answer that question for us yet. But my takeaway is that we're still members in good standing and that there's not much more we can do at this point from being good W3C members and supporters. So we'll wait to hear back from them if there's anything else. And then I guess the other kind of thing that we regularly update here is, of course, the OpenJS World event, which is going to co-locate this year with Open Source Summit North America, and the programming committee has been meeting on, I believe, double check if that's Wednesday or Thursday now. It is Wednesday, so tomorrow at 11 Eastern, for those who might be interested in getting involved with planning for that OpenJS World Programming Committee is then. Leah, you have anything newsworthy or interesting to share from the world of the tag for us this week? Any tag report updates or anything fun?
We had a virtual face-to-face 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right. You were out for that.
Yeah. It conflicted with this meeting. I'm not sure something stands out from that. Like, we did a bunch of design reviews, we closed a bunch of issues, but like, no, I'm not sure. I off the top of my head, I can't remember something that stands out to bring to this group. But we do have an actual face-to-face in Tokyo in April, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to do also like a lot of productive work there, because like, virtual face-to-face meetings are nice and they're better than the regular weekly breakouts, but you don't get the same kind of work done as an actual face-to-face. Like, I've been to a bunch of virtual ones since we started, and also like 2 like real face-to-face ones, and they really don't compare, like the amount of work we get done.
It's true. There's nothing quite like bringing everybody together, locking them in a room and saying, let's hash something out. Just kidding. Maybe we don't have to lock people, but you just keep them there with like coffee and donuts and camaraderie.
Well, I mean, the kind of bandwidth that you have, it's like you can't get that from Zoom, no matter like what you try.
Yeah. So that's in April in Japan?
Yep.
Cool. Will Mike Smith be there? he should, not that he's part of the tag, but he's part of staff. If you see Mike Smith, tell him I said hi.
I will.
All right. Okay, well, I don't think I have any other updates. I guess there's been a couple of things on the blog that are kind of interesting that we like for folks to know about. The foundation's been really involved with improving security for a number of its projects. So the jQuery and Node teams have been releasing security work updates on the blog. So check those out if y'all are interested. Otherwise, we'll move to our regularly scheduled agenda. And the first item of business is to talk about on the topic of the OpenJS world. Just to remind folks that we'll be doing another JavaScript Landia Awards process this year. And so last year, the standards working group put our heads together and came up with a great list of nominees and went through a process where we recommended a couple candidates for the award to the programming committee. They haven't launched that nomination call just yet, but you know, it's never too early to start thinking about who you might want to honor. And so just, I guess the request out to the group right now is to continue to think about people that you would want to recognize. And then two, we have also asked the new person running the Collab Summit, and it's not Waleed anymore, and I totally feel really bad because I've spaced on this person, his name. But we've got a new community member.
Is it Claudio?
Claudio, yeah, I think it's Claudio. Thank you so much. Who's running the Collab Summit, and we want to find out, you know, from our working group here, if there'll be enough folks in attendance to maybe set some time aside, or maybe it's not a full working group meeting, but an opportunity for a couple of us from the working group to do some brainstorming or some collaborating with the projects and with the broader CPC. So I guess that's one quick question is, you know, who would be thinking that they could make it? I will be there already because of work. I think Jordan will maybe have to be there too because of work.
I'm hoping to be there, yeah.
Yeah. Mike Champion, Vancouver is a drive up the road from you, but I don't know if you'd be interested in making that drive. I don't know how long a drive it is. Or Richard or Leia, that's oh, but that's AC. That's the problem. W3C AC meeting in France. That's right.
We were actually discussing with the tag in case like we could combine our face-to-face with that and have our face-to-face in France.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out. It wasn't working for some of the participants. For some, like the location wasn't working, for others, the time. So
yeah. Okay, so we need to put a pin on that idea. Obviously, too, if there's opportunity for the tag or for TC39 to do something with us when we're having an event, we'd love to do that next year. But that's why we have that new calendar.
new calendar?
Oh, there's a public calendar for our standards events, and it should be, I think it's linked off of the, or it's copied into the OpenJS public calendar too. So if you're subscribed to the OpenJS public calendar, you'll see also now, you know, the W3C AC meeting and TC39 plenaries and other what the winter CG meetings and things like that our groups participate in. So anywho, bringing it back to OpenJS World though, we could have an hour or two for working session or for presentation session to the OpenJS Collab Summit community. And I guess the question is, you know, what if anybody feels like, yeah, I'll be there, let's make it a working group meeting, or let's make it more a feedback and kind of open conversation, or what you all would like to see us do with that time, assuming we get it. All right, well, obviously we got a little bit of time, and we have to find out from Claudio how much time we could potentially have. So just keep that in the back of your noggin, and we'll I'll find out a little bit more, I think, at the programming committee meeting tomorrow. All right, so no further update there. All right, the main topic for today, which I made a commitment to, and I'm pleased to share that I have largely met this commitment, was to work on the updates to the concise guide, and that's issue 190 on the repo. I've just popped that into chat, and the Google Doc as well that we were working in here now in chat. So after last week, I said that I would take a big hard stab at this, and reviewing all of our notes and our comments from previous sort of components that we've talked through. I kind of took to took to heart the call that maybe what we needed to do is break this down into a couple of different concise guides. And so I pulled from our draft the version of the concise guide, which is the guide to fixing a platform bug. The kind of I am a developer, I have run into an issue. What is it that I can do about it, or what should I do about it? So the total page, it's just about 1,000 words. So that's just around 3 minutes for someone to read. So that kind of fits I think the conciseness. Obviously there's always a lot more we could say. Editing is the hard part, as they say. So that is kind of this is the newest draft. I imagined it might be nice to also add a graphic in here, like just to kind of illustrate how this is a dynamic problem where the browsers are and the platform is evolving, and that's all updating. User needs are updating. Our developer tools and our frameworks and all of that are updating constantly. So I thought maybe that would also be kind of a helpful visual. Yeah. And then there's some resources that I think are definitely worth pulling out, and there's probably spots too that we should link in here to other things. And anyway, love y'all to take a minute and give me some thoughts.
Wow, it looks very different than the last time I pulled this up.
Yeah, all the content that we had previously is just below that double line on page 3. So just to kind of say nothing has been removed. Just
I like the direction it's gone. It's in English rather than bullet point speak, which was, I thought, the the marching orders, when I was editing it, but I think I like it better this way. I like English. Hate PowerPoint speak. So yeah, I think it's going in the right direction. Definitely.
I'm not sure if we have so much marching orders as sort of movement directions, which is to say we could make this march however we like. I find it easier to write English than I do bullets. So
Is the term clarification bugs actually a commonly used term? I've never heard that
so
before.
my friend Simon Peters uses this a lot. Simon's a big, he's really big on the what WG and
Okay.
Mozilla and all that. So I'm not sure exactly how frequently, but I think it also is it's kind of a helpful, distinction in a way, because there either is a compatibility issue or there's an issue where it's not clear what
With the
should
spec.
be. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The distinction is important. I'm asking about the specific term.
Yeah.
Like, because GC39 has the same thing, right? Where we
Yeah.
like, I think we call it like web reality, but like obviously that's, I don't know if that applies the same for web standards. Yeah. As long as I think either the reporters or the recipients of the reports are going to know the term, then it's fine to define it here, right? But like it's probably not going to be super effective to try and introduce new terminology if in fact it's not already common. But I don't know. The fact that I haven't heard of it is probably irrelevant.
Well, no, I think it is relevant in the sense that like this may be pointing to the fact that like what WG might refer to these as and what TC39 might refer to these as, but it's the same concept, which is like,
yeah, totally.
So maybe instead of calling it naming it as a capital C clarification bug, rewriting this to say a bug of clarification, lowercase. Yeah.
It's more that it says these are called like that. To me, that's like a legal document saying I'm defining a term. Like
I agree.
that's all.
Or
That's the only reason my brain
just,
hung up.
we can call these, or let's call these. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If there is a term, then these are called is great, because like we should be maximizing the usage of adopted terms. But like, and it's a question. I don't actually know if it's adopted or not. That was all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I found it referred to clarification bugs in other spaces, but I'm not sure that it's still like I don't think it's like a enough term that, so I've just I like this, let's call these clarification bugs. Good points from Leah here in the chat about just affirming people and kind of moving them to the right places. Oh, we have a little guest. Hello, little guest. Do you want to talk about spec bugs? Does she? No. Definitely not.
She was tired of her TV show apparently and wanted to show me her treasures.
Oh, good. So, I mean, obviously we're this is a lot of new organization and new copy. So definitely take time with it, and add comments and all of that. This we don't have to. There's no deadline to ship this by, you know, a certain time.
I think
Go
this
ahead.
is just overall, this is great. I think it might benefit from like inline links in a few more places. So like, as I see something that's interesting, I can immediately drill into it. But I could also ignore it if I wanted to keep reading. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
This is great.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to unstick us a little bit more on this. And, you know, if we're okay with going out with something that's more focused as our first guide, and that's, you know, bugs, focus on bugs, then we can, that kind of unblocks us to think about more focused guides for, you know, like we could say concise guide to, you know, preparing a proposal for TC39 or something very, very kind of like concrete as the next step. I think another question that I just wanted to get agreement on or get thoughts on from the group related to the guides in general is, do we want them, where do we want them to live? And I was just thinking, easiest thing is make a directory on our standards working group repo and put all the guides in, you know, a guides directory, and bam. Alternatively, you know, we can PDF them and put them on the website, which might be a nice thing to do as well to kind of lift visibility for the standards working group work. But I don't know if anybody, if anybody's particularly passionate about document management for these things. Nobody. It's kind of funny, kind of ironic. If we follow the OpenSSF pattern, they've been doing both. They've been putting the source in a repo, but then also making a page on their site so people can go find resources, and then that's one of the places they navigate to. And I like that just as a pattern because it kind of provides more visibility for the work, and then, but it keeps source still on GitHub.
Is the source markdown or something more complex?
Yeah, it's markdown.
Yeah, that seems like a good thing to do then.
Okay. Okay. Well, so I think then we give y'all, you know, the rest of today or this week to add any more comments, and I will add links and refresh and incorporate Leia's feedback here, and then maybe ideally next week we can call for a +1 on a final document and ship it in, what'd that be? I guess March 7th would be, is that our next meeting? Wow, March. What? This year's going so fast. March 7th. So cool. Any other comments or thoughts on the guides? All right. Then I'll move us to our next topic, which is also really timely. So one of our OpenJS delegates, Guy, reached out to me last week, I think it was, to say, that the TC chairs, TC39 chairs, would like to get some clarification from us on, who's participating on behalf of the OpenJS and sort of what our goals for those folks may be. And just chatting with Guy, we feel like it's generally pretty clear among us, but it's not necessarily clear among the other TC participants, kind of what we do and what our process is and that kind of thing. And so he's asked if we can make a little bit more headway on the on issue 173, so that the TC chairs have more that they can point to understand again, when our group is participating, when those folks are participating on behalf of the foundation, or in the case that they may also be a member of a organization that's a member of the TC, how that kind of squares up. So I've asked Guy to come to our next meeting on the 7th, and he is able to make time to do so. So we will see Guy on March 7th to talk about 173 and kind of related topics for how we can help either provide some documentation for TC39 for their internal use, or point that and provide some kind of pointer to our repo. But that is well timed, quite frankly. So March 7th, we'll have Guy, and then hopefully we can get something to them for their meeting by the end of March. Which last week I had said this would fit on my plate in March. And so again, good timing. But I guess that's a good opportunity to ask Richard and Jordan as well, in the intervening time since you've kind of filled this role for us, is there a way you've come to think about it, or anything that you have found helpful in terms of providing support, clarification, that kind of thing, or anything you would think you would need there?
Yeah, I mean, my experience is that participation in TC39 generally shouldn't change based on who you're representing. In theory, you're always advocating for the best outcome for the language, regardless of who's paying your bills. Your employer may incentivize one thing more than another. When it comes to OpenJS, I think it's really just about before meetings, talk things over with the standards group if you're going to be offering or withholding consensus, or if you're going to be making a presentation. And after a meeting in which those things have happened, even if they happened and you weren't able to talk about it in advance, report back, right? And that's kind of it. And then, even though my personal opinion is different, the position of the standards group is that our delegates are not to withhold consensus for anything unless the standards group has agreed on it first. And that's the only caveat that, yeah. But beyond that, Guy's participated in TC39 for a while. So my assumption is that he will continue to participate in the same manner.
Yeah, well put. I agree with all points.
Yeah, I think the, I mean, if I'm thinking empathetically about the position that the chairs are in, TC39 has a huge roster to manage, and it can be probably overwhelming to think of all the folks who, and their opinions that need to be sort of weighed and factored in. And so I think they're looking for any kind of guidance we can provide on the types of matters that our team are going to be coming in and bringing in, perspectives that they might be bringing. And you know, so okay, cool. Well, we might try and paper something up a little bit before the March 7 meeting, so that we have kind of something we can discuss and kind of update together on our call next time, and then hopefully be able to polish that up, async, and ship it to the TC, and then update our repo, update our own repo for it. So between now and then, so I guess in the interim, you know, there's other things, Richard or Jordan, that you think would be helpful for us to document? I mean, one thing is like like an expectation of term. I find that kind of hard, because if we were to say support one of the members of our community who had a proposal that they were championing, you know, that might happen within a year, but it's more probable than not that it won't. And so it might just be, you know, that we don't really have something that we think of as a term, but rather a commitment to annually review the delegates and their proposals or their work items and see if that's still active, in which case, yeah, they should continue, or if it's not, then, and they're not planning to bring anything else new, then we adjust. But that's my one thing.
I mean, I think that if an OpenJS delegate stops participating, like doesn't attend and has nothing to bring in, like it should be fluid to be able to not have them be delegates and then have them be delegates later.
Yeah.
But if an OpenJS delegate wants to continue attending, it seems like, even if they have nothing specific to talk about, it seems like a good thing to allow for that.
Yeah, certainly, especially if they're doing things that are really additive, like helping our community learn more about any proposals or any topics that are in discussion. So, I mean, I think that's really key. But if we had somebody that were listed and they weren't attending, or, you know, they weren't really fulfilling that function, then maybe it's not as useful. But okay, good stuff. So that is all of the items on our agenda this week. So we've got a couple of good things to queue up for next week, in terms of continuing this conversation and documenting TC39 participation with Guy Bedford. Then hopefully buttoning up the concise guide. We'll probably have a little bit more info on the JavaScript Landy Awards and that kind of thing. Lots of things. So I guess in the interim, do file an issue if you have something you want to bring up or talk about. Otherwise, if there's no more agenda items, I can pretend to gavel this to a close. Great. Okay, I'll stop the recording, and thanks everyone. Stop.